Alright, so this is what we got. I've got this is a Singer 32-1, and it's an early model zig-zag machine. It's industrial. And then I just picked this up off of OfferUp. Really, I just wanted this hand crank machine. My plan is to take the hand crank off of this, which is, I believe, a National. Take the hand crank off and put it onto this Singer 32-1 zig-zag, and make it hand crank. And then if you can see, this machine kind of moves when you turn it because it's hitting on the bottom. So I'm going to have to build some kind of base for it so that it can sit up and I can hand crank with it. So that's the plan.
If you ever got a boot stuck down in your engine, you can pull it out with a coat hanger.
I'm going to take this motor mount off, the hand crank off the motor mount from the National, and it's not the same as the mount for the Singer. Let me see if I can see this mount. It's got 2 screws, and this one only has 1. So I might have to get creative here and use this bobbin winder maybe as I'd like to keep that bobbin winder on there actually. It's a good working bobbin winder for this machine, so I'd like to be able to keep the bobbin winder. I might have to build some kind of a bracket, maybe weld something up or something. Figure it out as we go here. I'll get everything taken apart, and right now this hand crank is almost completely frozen. I got it to wiggle a little bit, but we'll get it oiled up and take it apart and see if we can clean it up and get it spinning good. Then we'll figure out how to mount it. Fantastic. Those aren't rusted in at all. Alright, so this machine is pretty much all stripped down. There's a couple parts on here, but it's probably going to make its way up onto a shelf to get displayed somewhere, or maybe out into the yard for a little bit of yard art. Okay, so I've got some gun oil, gun cleaning, and I got some Zoom spout white oil. This is what I use for my sewing machines for the most part. So we're going to try to get this thing taken apart, see if we can oil it up and put it back together, see how it spins. don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but right in here there's a little hole. That hole's to put oil in. So you want to make sure you get oil down in that little hole. And there's one over here for this little axle here. Little hole right there. So we get oil down in that and oil in the other one, and that should, if there's any kind of bearings in there, I don't know that there is, but it should oil those up. That's spinning pretty good. Screws back in. Looks pretty good for a 100-year-old piece of steel. Okay, I got the hand wheel all cleaned up, hand crank all cleaned up, and this hand wheel here is a lot different than the old one. This one's a lot thinner than this one is. It's got this release sticking out pretty far away. So I thought about taking this hand wheel off and put it on there, but they're different, so I can't. This old hand wheel has a little spot right here, and that is where that little catch on the hand crank hit, and that's what turned the wheel. This one doesn't have that, it's just spoked. So once we get this lined up here, there's nothing for that little catch to catch on. So I'm going to have to figure out that. I'm going to either have to make this longer or mount something to the hand wheel that it can catch on. Other problem is once I get that lined up, the motor mount doesn't line up. So I'm going to have to build some kind of bracket that I can get the new hand crank mounted to. So I'll figure that out. Okay, so what I've done is I've drilled holes where this motor boss is going to line up, and I've drilled them 1/4 20, So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put everything back together. Okay, so all we got left to do is make it so that the little catch there is long enough to reach, so that when you turn it, it actually turns the hand wheel and makes the machine go instead of just spinning freehand. So I think what I'm going to do is take this little arm off, go see if I can go out in the garage and fab one that's a little bit longer. Okay, so this is the piece I took off the hand crank, and I found this piece of metal here that's about the same thickness. So I made a template, and I need about a 1/2 inch longer, so I just traced it out and made it a 1/2 inch longer. And then I'm gonna trace this so you can get the right size, and then I'll get the angle grinder, cut it out, grind it down, drill a hole in it, and should be good to go. Okay, so we've got it all ground out. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the grinder and grind those edges smooth. Alright, I got my new arm. That's the old one, and the new one's just a little bit bigger. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in here and see if this thing works. I think that'll work. Alright, we've got the hand crank mounted, and I've got it all threaded up, and we'll see if it stitches. I did adjust the tension and everything when I first got it, so I haven't touched it other than just putting thread on it just now. So let's see if it stitches a stitch. We'll put it on a straight stitch first, and this is the stitch length. I think that's all the way long. We'll keep it on all the way long and see what it does. stitching. I'll see if it'll stitch real short. Put it on medium, somewhere in medium. Yeah, that's a pretty tight stitch. Probably go all the way down to tack. Let's put it on zigzag. We'll put this up a little base, it'll zigzag. And it's sewing a zigzag. Missing a couple stitches, so probably needs either a timing adjustment or tension. I could use to turn down the top a little bit. But you put it on straight. Pretty nice stitch, actually. Sold machine. So there you go. I'm gonna build a base for it next, so I don't have to prop it up on this drill bit box, so the bottom doesn't hit, and we'll be ready to go. My wife said, "You realize that's not how that works, right?" I said, "How what works?" She said, "You can't just plant sewing machines and expect to grow more." Alright, so we've got the base built and got the machine in there. I adjusted the timing. What I had to do was the needle, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, when it was coming over here on the left side on zigzag, see it moves from right to left. When it was all the way on this far side, it was skipping stitches, only on this one side. So what I ended up doing was I took this needle bar, you can see the needle moves up and down, there's a bar that goes all the way up, there's a screw right here. I loosened that screw and I moved the needle bar down, I don't know, maybe 1/8 of an inch, and that just made it so that when the needle came down, the hook could hook that thread before it wasn't coming down quite far enough, and it wasn't getting caught on that left side. So I got it all done and timed up. I'll put this top cover on, and then we'll see it stitch. Alright, let's see it stitch. Zigzag, I'm hitting every stitch. Let's move this down. That'll be a straight stitch. Hard to do this with the holding the camera and being a hand crank. You need a cameraman. This is the stitch length adjuster. It'll make it really long and move it down that direction. There you have it. So if you've got an old hand crank, you can put it on a 3/2 1 Singer.